Hey everybody, it's time for another episode of Couch Stories. Yeah, that's the theme song I've come up with for this. Until I get something more official, that's the tune. But anyway, this is the segment where we talk with the person who was just on the podcast. I am your host, Justin Jaywar, host of the Chicago 60 podcast, the Chicago 60 show on YouTube, the pregame show, anything associated with Chicago 60. And we had a wonderful guest on the podcast not just a few moments ago, and that was a wonderfully talented, lyrically masterful musicianship extraordinaire on the banjo, guitar, and other manner of instrumentation for folk blues and sometimes bluegrass music. I want to introduce you all again to Elijah Berlow. Hello, Elijah. How are you?
Oh, hey.
What's up, man?
Nothing much. How you doing?
Did you enjoy being on the podcast?
Yeah, I did, actually.
Excellent. That is the easiest.
Thanks for having me.
Easiest affirmation question I have is you're already in my place in the studio. It's hard to say no, right? Yeah, it was great. No, I'm just kidding. That's cool, man.
Fucking awesome.
No, it was fun. We had a really good conversation there, and yeah, that was a really fun conversation talking about performances on stage between comedy and music and how they can be similar and what the differences are and things like that. It was really, really interesting. So I really appreciate you hopping on the podcast with us to talk about that. But this whole segment is all about you, my friend. It's all about learning about who the hell you is. So that's what we're about to do. So for those of you who have not listened to the podcast yet, go do that immediately. You get out there. Listen to that podcast, folks. But Elijah and I met when I was a barback at Sparrow, and I would walk into La Colombe, or La Column, or whatever we've decided to call it at this point. And I was like, hey, man, I work at Sparrow, blah, blah. I'm grabbing coffee for everybody. And you're like, oh, cool. And I went to pay, and you're like, it's all good. And then you came in later, and I was like, and you're like, hey, I want to get a drink. We were like, it's all good. And that was the relationship we had for quite a while, is it not?
Yeah,
for a little bit.
That's basically how it goes.
Yeah, when you're artist,
swap. You know?
That's right. Do the swappity swap.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, and then I found out you're an amazingly talented musician, and listened to some of your music. We played some of it at the beginning of the podcast, and we're gonna be posting a few of your songs on our page, which I hope you're cool with.
Get those listens.
That's right. Get them listens. Go listen to his stuff, man. Elijah Berlow.
Stuff.
Yes, you're on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
You are on
all the things.
All the things. Yeah. He's on all the things. We'll post all of that in the description below. So hit that little arrow, go down. All of his links will be there. Check it out. Let's get to know you real quick, man. So tell me. So I mean, I know you, but I don't know you.
Likewise.
So tell me, where do you hail from? You were saying you're from Maryland,
Massachusetts.
Correct? Massachusetts. The other
close
state.
though. Yeah. Wow.
The other state.
East Coast and M.
Yes.
Eastern Massachusetts, yeah.
All right,
right
nice.
off of Cape Cod.
Oh, okay. You're Cape Codish. All right, very nice. Cape Codish. A question: do they have a lot of cod in Cape Cod?
Not much. No.
I always found that to be a hilarious predicament.
Overfished now. Yeah.
Yeah, overly fished.
How it goes.
It's now Cape Maybe Cod is what it should change its name to. Is there cod? We don't know.
Cape not anymore cod.
Cape not. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So you grew up in near Cape Cod, maybe some cod left, Massachusetts. So I got to ask, what's your general? Don't give a life story, but like, what I'm curious is how a kid from Cape Codish, Massachusetts, got into folk and blues and bluegrass type music. Like, how did this come about?
There's a scene out there. One of my favorite songwriters is Willie Mason, who is from where I'm from, and there's like the James Taylor kind of crew and artist colonies about there. So there you get a lot of folks that have like retired or done things in New York or Boston or Rhode Island, which all have like art centers in themselves. And then you get them there, and then they age, and then they have kids, and you just have like a whole community of artisans and artists. And a lot of that was expressed with like, very naturalistic folk music and stuff like that, very stripped down sort of stuff. So that's what I grew up listening to, watching. There's not a whole place to play, but where you could play or where you listen to stuff, you'd get mostly, just like that kind of very, not super traditional folk, but pretty close to it. the kind of stuff. Yeah.
Nice. So I mean, it's something that you grew up on. It wasn't like something you heard and you're like, oh, that sounds cool. I want to go try that out. It was like, this is something that's ingrained almost to your core in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because it's like everyone thinks I'm from the South or something, which is kind of funny because I'm from like the anti-South.
Yeah,
like
right.
Yankee of the Yankee.
Yeah, right.
Yankee,
like exactly. It's
but
like we were a union state.
Yeah, for real. I don't know. It just I definitely like latched onto it as like a form of communication also, because it's like I wanted to do things as simple as not simple as possible, but like as expressly as possible. So it's like if I'm just sitting alone, I can convey to you as much as I can convey to you with one guitar and one voice or something like that, as much as I could possibly do.
Yeah.
So that capacity kind of like wasn't the attraction.
Gotcha.
To like doing more folk music things than latching onto other sorts of formats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you find that folk music culture has got anything, as you've gone through it and experienced it, that's got anything unique to it that other music genres don't have? So when you're performing and whatnot, meeting people who like folk music, is there anything like idiosyncratic
like
amongst the crowd?
To folk music?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say like no right off the bat. I would say it's just like this. I mean, there's definitely differences, but there's nothing like specific. Like, I mean, what's kind of the thing that I love about it is that you can work out a very simple format, but then do alterations to that format and in infinitum. So it's just like you could just keep doing alterations to this like very incredibly simplistic thing, and then thus like create like an extremely large fabric of different things that all have very like a simple, very accessible outlet to grapple onto. Like I make people sing at the end of my set with one song. So
Nice.
it's like I don't know, it's just like it's kind of cool because it's like sing-alongs are like folk traditionalists will like everyone's singing, it's like that's how folk music would traditionally be passed down, is an oral history. So I mean that's I think that's kind of unique, I suppose, because you don't get a lot of but like crowd interaction, it's just like I feel like it's a cross genre sort of thing. But yeah.
Is there anything like specific about that aspect of folk music or the culture of folk music that naturally brings you to it, or something that you find that's your favorite thing about doing folk music in particular versus like, have you done other forms of music and you're like, nah, folk music, and the reason is because I love this thing about it?
I think, I mean, I haven't experienced a lot or written a lot in other genres of music. I want to like push myself like and write for different projects, but I think what attracted to me was that you can just have like the most bare bones of guitar and vocal or banjo and vocal and just be like completely struck dead. Like the Townes Van Zandt stuff that I grew up on was like live at the Old Quarter, and it's just him and a guitar telling stories, and it's just like some of the most saddest shit you've ever heard. And then it's like he turns a corner and then like tells this raunchy joke about like some hillbilly in Kentucky, it's just like, and it's just like an incredibly vulnerable thing. But I did want to like, cause I'm a lone person. I like to be alone, and I wanted to express things. Maybe just like, to be alone playing music was definitely an expression for me, at least. It's just like my time with myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything when you're, writing music and whatnot, I guess, where does your inspiration come from? And I know we were talking about this in the break, but where do you find a lot of your musicality and your lyrics and the rhythms that you come up with? Where does that inspiration come from for you?
We was talking about Mississippi John Hurt a lot, just as like a playing musicality sort of thing. Lyricism would come from a lot of Townes Van Zandt and a lot of like Roseanne Cash, who I listened to a lot like as a kid, Bruce Springsteen and Patti Scofflaw. That duo was just amazing. And then the traditionalists like Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie, and Bob Dylan, and all that jazz, but also just like reading a lot of poetry for like lyrics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of Whitman, and just like historical nonfiction, eco philosophy sort of things. Because it's not. It's like my music is like, and how I play is one thing, but it's also like how I write and construct things is like comes from a lot of different places. Like
Sure.
literary wise or like mathematically, or classical music has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So then how do you end up incorporating those things to create? So, I mean, I've written lyrics for some songs. Like I had a buddy who did house music. I wrote lyrics for that. And, it was
really
for real.
Whoa.
I know.
Wow.
I know. It was a
That's
thing that yeah. Yeah,
That's
it was yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. That's a former time.
past life.
Yeah, past life. And it was fun, but and I like kind of drew on my personal experiences to write those lyrics, but I always find it fascinating. Like we were talking in the podcast. Like I come from my mom's side of the family. Well, my dad too. Like we're all fairly musically inclined. Like I have an ear. Like I can put rhythms and things together. I couldn't do it on paper. Like I'm sure you can, but I've always found it fascinating how people like you, musicians, can do that and like take those influences and put together this wonderful masterpiece of a song that resonates with people. And I've listened to your music, and like I've definitely felt that with your music, which is why I have you on the fucking show. But so how do you find you're able to take those pieces and mold it together? What do you have, like a process, or just like random stuff? Because I know musicians and artists have different ways of how they do things.
You're talking about like the just process of
the
of
process,
writing
like
or
kind
arranging
of
or
like what's
something.
your process for going about that?
Yeah,
I always find that interesting with people.
I try to have process be practice. So a practice you come in and out of something as a long-term trend rather than try to just do something repeatedly as a singular thing over time.
Yeah.
So I try to think about it as like I'm going to write and read every day. I'm not going to necessarily play. I'm not going to necessarily like write a whole new song, but maybe I'll come up with this thing then. Maybe I'll come up with another thing then and put them together, or the other like crazy amounts of processes you could go to. So I suppose like my process is just using a lot of little tiny things to construct all of the things that I like, for the moments that I do just like write 5 songs in a night. It's just wow, I did this, and like, half of one might be okay, or they might all be all right, and that happened like last year. It's like, which is like really cool, but I try to keep in practice, and I think creativity is a practice rather than like I'm gonna be creative today,
right?
Sort of vibe.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I try to do.
Yeah, that's good that you mentioned that. I find that's true as well with what I try and do when I'm writing or anything. I can't, or even editing. Like it's, sometimes it's just like you need that day, and like I don't got it today. But like the next day, something sparks and boom, you're off.
Yeah.
You're writing something inspired you. So I feel like sometimes it's a balance in a way, or sometimes you kind of just have to do some shit.
Yeah.
But
that's why it's like a
organic.
I'm saying like practice, it's just like that's why I write every day, because it's like no matter, I mean that's what we were talking about like with art. It's just like putting dualities on things is just like is dangerous for anything, but especially with art, because then it's like if you're gonna put boundaries around it, then you're gonna call it something that you might not want to call it, because it could just be a seed of something else. And it's like if you're going to discard it, then it's like then you just be self-destructive or what have you for your processes. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think a lot of other great artists have also mentioned how like they'll have an idea and they'll shelve it, and
right?
Like they come back to it like 4 or 5 years later,
totally.
And then boom, they have all the stuff they need for that point. And I've definitely found that, like Norm and myself, for the stuff that we've written, we've kind of had that thing as well. Or we have something we've written and we come back to it and we're like, oh, well, now we have all this other new experience to add to this thing, and it's like just molding together. Do you have any songs that are kind of like that, where you started and you kind of left it and then it's now a thing?
Not every song, but a lot of songs. Yeah. I mean, again, sometimes it is just like I'll vomit out like a bunch of stuff at once, and then like pick apart it over years, and then I'll keep, just like the classic, like I found that editing is a new thing for me.
Yeah.
And like a helpful thing, which
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
tells you, like,
right.
edit
It's
your
a
shit.
necessary evil.
Yeah.
or else
like,
shit doesn't happen.
But that's part of, like, I've integrated it into my practice, and I'm lucky enough to collaborate with somebody, Scott William, who's like also an amazing songwriter that has like an amazing practice with his songwriting that has taught me about like mine, and having like just a soundboard person to like be like, is this shit? Is this great? Is this not great? Can I keep going with this, or should I stop? It's just like, and then having somebody even like you could say, you could take what they say or not take what they say, but like just having somebody to say something is so helpful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So like, integrating like editing for the first time helped, but like, I mean, all of the songs are different within their own little worlds. But
how do you collaborate with? I've always been fascinated by the band aspect, and I've seen some clips of you performing on your Instagram and whatnot with like a bunch of string players and stuff. Yeah. But you're kind of like a singular person, but you kind of incorporate yourself in with other folks. So what's that like? Like you have this idea, like, hey, let's get. Like, do you write with the purpose of bringing in other like instruments and stuff, or is it like, hey, I got this song, and you play it, and then like they're like, oh, cool, and they can like pick. How does that work? Because I've been curious at watching some of the videos.
So like So for a while I was writing songs that I would be like, this would be cool on, and then my intentionality wasn't completely there. So like last year I started playing with other people really intentionally and trying to like learn how to play with other people, because it's a whole different aspect of itself. You have to like learn how to talk to different people about different methods and different musical languages, like somebody who's a jazz person or somebody who's a classical person or somebody who's like untrained folky like me. It's just how am I going to communicate what I need to communicate to you to get what you have over here with me? And it just kind of came about, like I always have like just the things in my head, just like neurotically, just like
yup. Yes,
like,
I know that
like
feeling very well. Yes.
So it's
I want to turn my brain off at times. I just can't help it. I was like, I fucking think way too much. Yes.
Whether the thoughts and like the arrangements and just like, these songs, like I want them to be big, and I'm inspired by like a bunch of like orchestral arrangement is just like really beautiful to me. And to have like finally the language to collaborate with those folks took a while, but like now I write a song with those arrangements in mind, and with how they play them, like who personally I'm thinking of play them.
Yeah.
So that's super helpful.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So as you've kind of ventured into this arranging for multiple aspects of musical piece and different instrumentation and different sounds and things like that, is there like a project that you've done with a group of people that you would say is like been inspirational, or that you like learned a lot from, that you really enjoyed doing with a group of folks, or do you prefer kind of doing stuff more on your own?
Well, like I mean, on my own is like who can show up really, right? At this point,
sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I'm like lucky to have. Like, I mean, I chose to be under Elijah, like my name, because it came down to like, all right, I don't know who'll show up, but I can. You know what I mean? It's just like,
that's the first step.
I feel grateful for whoever shows up or whoever wants to play in my music. So that's like a blessing in and of itself. But just I gained a lot from like not only just like playing music, but like playing my music with other people, like in general. Like when I invited this cellist or like a bassist or like anybody, like I always gained a massive amount of just perspective of how like they look at their instrument, I look at my instrument, and how the song is going to go playing our instruments together, and dynamically so you're not just like, there's the song, it's just like, how do we like make this something that I can draw you in, keep you in, and then put you back out. Kind of vibe.
Sure.
So
yeah. That's interesting. Like creating that, we were talking about that on the podcast also, about like creating the atmosphere and things like that. And it's not easy to do. So do you go in to, like, when you're performing, creating, is there a way that you have found to create that kind of story atmosphere performance with all the stuff that you have, or do you find it's difficult to kind of like, hey, I'm just going to play songs, versus like creating a story arc? And what kind of a story arc would that be?
You're saying like just within my live performances or
Yeah,
just like within
yeah.
songs or something.
Yeah.
I try to go into it however I'm like feeling that day. Like my last show, I was like just so, I don't know what happened. It's just like my partner's been gone for so long, and it's just like I was feeling like, just like a frustration, and then I was just like feeling like there's like this fire of just like impeachment shit. It's just like all of the factors and variables that I was just like personally like dealing with. I just like wanted to like let out, and like that's what I used it for. You know what I mean? Instead of being like I'm gonna be like this on stage, I was just like I'm just gonna be like this energy and this vibration
state I'm in right
and this
now.
state,
Yeah.
and try to convey that as much as possible through my words. And it like when you internalize songs, you can like spit them out in different ways. And I've like learned to just like, it's just like I'm gonna feel this thing right now, but I'm just also gonna like sing this song exactly how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
And
I feel like
people, like
that's an interesting thing about music, right? You can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Where like, and we were talking about the differences between comedy and music and whatnot, where I find, at least for myself with comedy, particularly when I was doing improv, it's like, those, like I would have emotional days or like days where I was like off, and it's like, now I gotta go try and be funny. It's like I don't really feel like being funny, but in improv, the tenet is like, well, don't be angry, don't argue and whatnot. But it's like some days I was like, and then some of the people you have to deal with in improv classes. I mean, Norm's laughing, but like you're just like, fuck, and you're just like, it just adds to it. And like, I'm not sure if there's a way in improv or like stand up maybe, but like even then, like stand up's all kind of like measured out. And I know music is measured out, but I feel like music has more of the ability to, like, a song can be done multiple ways. It's still that song, but it can be performed in many different ways, right? That's why you have like cover bands that can perform songs that will sound a little bit different maybe here and there. But in comedy, I haven't found that necessarily to be as easily the case. Have you noticed when you're like, let's say, have you noticed like audience react differently when you're in these different types of, when you're performing a song differently? And have you performed a song different, like the same song but differently, and has it given you different reactions? Has that taught you anything?
Yeah, I think I feel like audiences and anyone in a crowd can like you just know when someone is uncomfortable, like watching somebody. So like if someone is like nervous or thinks that they're like messing up, that conveys through your performance. And like, sure, you've seen a show where you're just like, this person's nervous right now, and then like that's fine to be nervous. Like nervous is great. Nervous is like vulnerability. It's like uncomfortability. It's like where you're at right now. It's like no one can tell you where you're at right now or like how to be, but like I definitely like felt different ways performing different songs. But it sometimes you like fight the crowd, and sometimes the crowd fights you, but like sometimes it's just like we're all just all on the same page, and this is great. It's just like I don't need you listening to me all the time. Like that's not what I'm asking, to be like incredibly attentive and like quiet as a mouse. But like it's like if I'm not drawing you in to like make you shut up, then I'm not doing my job. I feel like you know what I mean?
Right, yeah,
just
for
like,
sure.
I gotta draw your attention somehow. But yeah, like personally, I mean, I like doing these renditions differently and doing these expressions differently. And yeah, once you can get into a song and just like act it out in just like a different way, it feels really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Is there, as you've experienced that, is there a particular performance that you've done where like it was like your favorite performance because you kind of got that vibe with the crowd and like it was really going? You got a cool like performance story you can share?
Skeptical of calling my favorite performance a favorite performance.
Sure.
Just cause
yes,
I'm superstitious.
Sure,
and I know I'm like gonna say this is
a story of a performance you very much enjoyed. Let's call it that way.
Fine. That's great.
We're not superstitious, but we might be a little stitious is the phrase,
dude.
right? Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I'm playing Friday the 13th. So
right. Like, yeah, good point. Yeah.
Like,
all right. Well, that makes sense. Then
I'm like
I think,
trying to be chill about it.
Yeah,
but
right.
I'm like, yeah, guys, this. I didn't know
like
that
this one.
They gave me Friday the 13th, and I'm like,
oh man,
all
I
right,
didn't think about that.
motherfuckers, like we're gonna do this.
Yep.
But I'd say like I don't know, just like each performance, I go into it with intentionality, and each performance I dissect what I did, what worked, what didn't work. But like every performance I like actually enjoy because it's like then I get to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that I just get to perform, but I get to like dissect and like learn from it as just like as a entity that has passed or an entity that's coming up. I always can like feed it to each other about it. So that's why I'm superstitious. I'm not going to tell you which performance I like.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
But
fair
like
enough.
all of them. Say all of them. Even
But
the
also,
bombs, man.
You're also sharing something you love to do with others. So it's always like when I'm up there on doing comeback, I'm loving doing what I'm doing. I'm loving doing this. So I'm glad I'm hoping somebody is getting affected or learning something or having a laugh at my expense is also okay. But that's the general gist. All right, I got one last question for you before we go to the lightning round. But, ooh, yes. So my last question for you. Sorry, I got two last questions. I forgot about another one. First question before we get to lightning round is, what's one thing performing and writing and doing music has taught you about life that you've used in your non-musical life? Oh, we do the hard questions here on the Cow Stores, man.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. Philosophical.
Well, what I was talking about with practice, I think I just try to apply with a lot of other aspects of my life in terms of like, every aspect that I like do from a day to day or like a year to year or month to month is just like I try to feed everything into other things, and using my art to not pent up everything, you know.
Yeah.
But like also, just like knowing self is super important.
Yeah.
I guess, but I mean that's like in a multi-dimensional answer, I suppose, just like bringing the practice of which I have experienced trying to get better at my art into other aspects of life, I suppose. That's what my answer would be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice answer. That's very good. Very good. Yeah, I can agree with you. Yeah, there's definitely a discipline and a practice you need to have, and that helps with all aspects of life for sure. And asses, apparently. I can't say assets. I only say yeah. Give us the assets. So delectable. Well, that too. I don't know. Jesus, it goes off the rails here. We never know.
Jesus has nothing to do with it.
That's true. Good point. But that ties in nicely. So you're incorporating these things in the other aspects of your life. What are some things you like to do, Elijah Berlow, when you're not doing music?
Cook, eat, read, sleep. Basically
be a human.
Those things. I don't know. Yeah. Basically,
the
be
stuff
a human.
of life. Yeah.
I seriously, I've cooked since I was, since I could hold a pan, basically.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I also like to cook.
Yeah, I love cooking.
We should go back and forth and share some recipes.
Share the recipes.
Yeah, I need some new shit to cook. So,
dude, I cook. I mean, yeah, I cook as a form of expression. I learned a lot from my mother in terms of just like how to be in a kitchen. It's just like being around food all the time. I used to work on farms. I used to work in a butcher shop. I used to be around food activism a lot. So that's like a part and fabric of how I express myself and how I do things and how I think about the world in general and philosophy. But yeah,
nice. Yeah, cooking does
basically
that.
Food and music. I think.
Yeah,
all right. That's all I could.
Yeah.
Ever hope for.
All right. One last thing before we get to the lightning round. What book are you currently reading?
It sounds so pretentious.
Oh, no. If it's pretentious, that's pretentious, I suppose.
Fuck, I guess I am pretentious. You know those books you read because it's like you want somebody to ask you what you're reading.
Right, yes. Yes, I know.
You want somebody to be like, I'm reading still Cicero. On the 150th page of...
I'm reading The Fall and Decline of the Roman Empire.
I'm reading Herodotus.
I wasn't far off with Cicero. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Yo,
that's
bro.
Why I was like, should I even say?
That's hilarious. Yo, no, I mean, oh my God, I want to do this more. I've got to get back to reading, but I've wanted to like do a classical reading like that and like read the classical people and like learn from that.
Nice.
It is nice. Yes, but when it activates your brain and it helps you, avoid Alzheimer's and dementia. So do some word puzzles. It helps. All right, sure. But yeah, cool, man. All right, that's cool. Herodotus, bro. All right, I'm gonna fucking get on that real quick. Herodotus, Cicero, Plato, and Socrates. Oh, dude, no, I think that's dope. I got now you made me feel like shit. Now I'm like, fuck, I gotta
What
read
are
some
you
high quality
reading?
stuff. I'm reading a book about the Cold War right now.
Sick.
Yeah,
That's a good book.
and then a buddy of mine bought me a book about like Polish. He's Polish guys. We bought me another. I had the first book in the series. He bought me the next one. So that's my next one I got to tackle about Poland and how we fucked up in World War II. Actually, they did very well. Side note: the Polish were not as dumb as people think.
The U.S.
They actually did very well for having just horses. Those horses actually did. They only lasted like 24 days, but everybody thought they were going to last like 2 days. And then the Germans and the Russians were like, why the fuck are they still fighting us? They have horses. it's like our horses are. Actually, it was okay. Tidbit. I know this is off the rails, but the Polish army was better trained. They were better. They were better trained than the German and the Russian troops combined. But I'm just gonna say that, FYI, the people, the best pilots in the Battle of Britain, Polish pilots. Just gonna throw that out there. Okay, Polacks, what's up, yo? But I also have English ancestry, so this is a waste of my time. Sorry, I'm off the rails. How about you give me a lightning round? All right, fucking hell. All right, let's do this. All right, let's go. You ready for the lightning round? Here we go.
Yeah.
Some of them are fast and some of them are non-fast.
Okay.
So you just give your best answer.
Just off
some
the
of
top
them are
of my
Chicago. Yeah, off the top of your head. Some stuff's Chicago-based and some other stuff is. I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of questions until I feel like not asking you any more questions.
Go for it.
All right, ready?
Yep.
It's time for the lightning round. Ding, ding, ding. We're gonna have like a graphic and stuff at some point. All right, here we go. First question: What's your favorite song that you've done thus far? Do you have one?
Yeah, it's called Surrounded.
Surrounded. I've heard that one. It's quite good. All right. Question number 2. Where, if you've traveled and performed, where is the best place that you've performed outside of Chicago?
My favorite right now would be Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Any particular club or anywhere over there that you really enjoyed, or just Detroit in general?
Detroit in general, there's a lot of clubs that I want to play, that I want to go back to and do. But yeah.
All right. Your favorite venue that you've performed here in Chicago?
Hideout, Chicago.
Oh, the Hideout, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good spot.
Beautiful spot.
All right. Next question.
Right.
Chicago-style hot dog or an Italian beef? Where would you go? What's your preference?
Where would I go?
No, between the two.
What would I go?
What would you pick between the two? Chicago-style hot dog or Italian beef?
Hot dog.
Hot dog?
Yeah.
Okay, ketchup?
Don't do this to me.
Because you're from Massachusetts.
I know. I'm from Massachusetts. I don't know you, but don't put ketchup on the hot dog.
All right. Sorry. It's just, all right, here, next question. The Riverwalk or the beach?
A beach.
A beach?
Yeah.
North Avenue Beach, Montrose Beach?
Montrose Beach.
Montrose Beach.
Actually,
Ooh.
Foster Beach is my favorite beach.
Yeah, all right. You get, all right, yeah, good answers. All right, fine. Would you prefer to go to a dive bar or a club in the city?
My house. Is that one of the
I think
answers?
that's the best answer I think anybody's ever given. That's phenomenal. I love that. Okay, cool. Sears Tower or Willis Tower?
Hancock.
I love how I'm giving you like trick questions and you're giving the right answers to all of these. That's so great. Like that was my next question was John Hancock or Sears. You're like, fuck it, I'm going to the next question immediately. Yeah. You're killing this lightning round, bro. Fucking killing it. Okay, what's your favorite ingredient on a deep dish pizza?
Sausage.
Are you going to Lou Malnati's or Giordano's? Ooh, very good. Do you know Pequod's?
I do know of Pequod's.
Do you like Pequod's?
I haven't had it.
Okay, well, you need to go.
Okay.
Shout out to fucking Pequod's in the lightning round. The Bean or Millennium Park?
The Bean.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Where's your favorite spot to go in the city to get a view of the Chicago skyline?
Mariana's parking lot on Chicago and Damon.
That's weirdly specific.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get like a stumped answer there, and he's like, "Nah, bitch, I know exactly what I'm saying
my
here."
rooftops.
All right, fair enough. Oh, what was that? Is that your favorite rooftop place in the whole city then? No.
Is that the next question?
Yeah, that's the next question now. What's your favorite rooftop bar in the city?
Rooftop bar?
Yeah. Oh, you not go?
Rooftop bar?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
How what other rooftops would you go to?
I go to just
one that serves alcohol. You just go to rooftops?
Yeah.
Random rooftops? He brings his own beer. He's a BYOB guy. I love it. That's an answer. I'll take that. I'll take that 100%. Okay, cool. Field Museum or the Art Museum?
Field.
Okay.
Museum.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, Field Museum versus Science Museum of Science and Industry.
I would go Field.
Oh, you really like the field?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, they got a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Dinosaurs.
Gotcha. All right. Are you a sports fan at
I
all?
like playing sports.
Okay. We're still gonna answer. We're still gonna ask these questions.
All right, keep going.
All right. Favorite Chicago sports team.
Cubs.
Interesting.
What?
I don't have a preference. I mean, that's totally cool. That was not an answer I was expecting
cool.
real quick, but that's cool. Okay.
Cubs. Yeah.
All right. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrigley Field or bleachers outside of the stadium? Where would you prefer to be in?
I'd prefer to be in Wrigley Field.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite neighborhood to go in the city to hang out? Like a hood?
I do. I mean, I am close by and thoroughly enjoy Logan.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
Good answer, man. I love Logan. Logan's dope.
pretty great.
That's a good answer. Okay. All right.
Is that it? Did I win?
No, you didn't win anything.
Fuck.
I'm not done yet.
Okay, keep going.
South side, west side, north side, or loop?
Well, I live on the west side, so west side. I
Okay.
suppose.
West
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Do you drive on the expressways at all?
No.
Okay, well, that's going to scrap that question then. Making this shit up on the fly, motherfuckers.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
good
I
at that.
suppose. Yeah. Well, fuck it. Do you eat Italian beef?
Yeah.
Okay, Al's or Portillo's?
Al's.
Ooh. You know, we're going to be doing a beef off, so we'll tell you. But yeah, Al's is, we'll tell you where to fucking go. I'm just kidding. That's a good answer. Al's is dope. Do you go to live theater?
I try to, yeah.
Okay, Goodman or Steppenwolf?
I haven't been at either yet.
Okay, so that's a no.
I'd say-
What about, have you been to Second City or IO?
Yeah.
Second City or IO?
Second City.
Okay, Second City. You
Yeah.
prefer Second City. Okay, good. Improv or traditional theater?
Improv,
Okay,
actually.
nice. All right.
I'm not just trying to kiss your ass. I think
I do both, so either way you're kissing my ass, Elijah. Well, that's
It's a
cool.
very self-serving question. I'm just gonna say. All right, sorry.
All right.
go on.
What's your favorite thing about being in Chicago and living here?
You can actually go to the beach.
Oh, yeah. All right. What's one thing that you've learned having lived in Chicago?
How to navigate a grid system.
That's
That's one thing.
that's
one thing.
that's
I
phenomenal.
have
Navigate.
a
That's
lot of heavy answers, but
yeah.
a lot of
we're
other
we're gonna
shit,
figure
but-
out the world on this show, Couch Stories. All right, cool, man. All right. What's one piece of advice you wish you had before you had moved to Chicago that you did not have?
One piece of advice
That you wish you had had
Wish you had had to move
before you moved to Chicago that you did not have.
Why did
Like you came here and
Move
you're
to
like,
Humboldt.
oh shit, moved to Humboldt. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Any particular reason why?
I just feel like you move so much in a city, and just getting to know one area is just so much better than like trying to hop around and then finding the area and then settling in, I suppose.
Hmm.
But I didn't really know anyone when I moved to Chicago to give me advice anyway, so yeah,
Nice.
you know.
All right. I like it. All right, last question on the
question.
lightning round. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. I asked this to everybody on
Mm.
Couch Stories.
Mm, mm.
This is always the final question. For those of you who've been watching, you know. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone who is either moving to Chicago or coming to visit for the very first time?
Eat food. That's what I'd say.
Any particular food? Just like eat the food in Chicago. It's
I
phenomenal.
would
Like
I'd hit the Strip in Logan. I would stay away from Wicker Park. Sorry. And I'd go to Chinatown. I'd go to Pilsen. I'd go to, pretty much don't go to the Loop at all. I'd go,
This is all
don't go
sound
to
advice.
West Loop at all. Yeah, I would
Well, West
say
Loop's pretty
not
good,
to
but
go.
but it's expensive.
It's just there's just better places for things that are actually the thing that you're trying to eat
That's
there.
also true.
Not to shit on like those chefs, they're really great chefs, but like just go to Pilsen if you want Mexican food or some shit, you know, go to Chinatown if you want Chinese
Yeah.
food. Go to Little Vietnam, Little India, the Ethiopian restaurants up north. Yeah, just to eat a lot of food.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Elijah Berlow, thank you for being on Couch Stories.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Where can the people go and find you? On Spotify, of course, but just type in your name, right?
Just type in my name.
Just go to Google and type in Elijah Berlow. That's what I did.
It's Google.
Spotify, Instagram, all of his stuff is up there. I watch his stories. You'll see his stuff. He's got a great show. This won't be up before your show, but you got a show in 2020 already planned?
Yeah.
Okay, tell him about that show, because by the time this comes out, that show will be relevant.
I'm actually playing Fitzgerald's the 13th
of January?
February
13th. And you have any flyers or anything, tell us. We will post it on our page so our followers and viewers can help you out. Go check him out, Elijah Berlow. And if you liked what you saw here tonight and you loved everything that you heard on the podcast and everything that Elijah was saying, I hope you enjoyed listening to him. I certainly did. I definitely learned a lot of things. And I hope to continue learning about this guy and all the cool stuff with folk music and everything he does. But if you liked these types of segments, please help us out. Go to Chicago 60 SIXTY on Facebook and like us and follow us there. If you're watching this on YouTube, which you probably are because you can only really get this content on YouTube, then hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell so that you can get all the new segments like Couch Stories and all the podcast stuff that we don't always post on Facebook there. If you're listening to this on iTunes, please hit the subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. Really helps our content get up there so people in Chicago can learn about cool people like Elijah and when they're performing and go see them and help them and grow their careers and all the things that they love to do and just learn about cool stuff in the city. So go do that. If you want to see behind the scenes stuff and amazing photos that Norm and Joe and Ron come up with, because I don't do that shit, then go to our Instagram page, Chicago_60, Chicago_60. Go there. If you like listening to this stuff on Spotify, then just wait till 2020. We'll be up there. If you want to donate to us, you can't yet, but we will have a website and a Patreon account very soon in 2020 also, so you can just, keep watching. Just when you watch this, just wait a month and then come back and then do it. So anyway, go and help us so we can keep doing what we love to do and bring you great content so you can learn about amazing people and the city that we love, which is called Chicago. So with that, thank you all for watching. We will see you next time. Elijah, again, thank you very much for being on Couch Stories. That's another edition of Couch Stories. See you later. Bye-bye.